that windy day in '62, the course that day was a triangular course. So it was a 7-mile beat, a 7-mile reach, a jibe, and then a 7-mile back with a finish. And it was probably 25 plus going across the top reach. And the Weatherly were ahead of us by, I think, 18 seconds. And they jibed and elected to hold the spinnaker for a second. And then Jock Storrock said, we're going to set. So we did a jibe set, and probably a pretty good one in those conditions. And then we had the momentum and we just rode over the top of it. And we're probably a slightly better running boat as well.
What about the weather? Was she a good weather boat? Were they compatible?
Almost. They just always had a little touch of height on us, always. Yeah. And I put that down to Mosbacker's experience, probably. And they had better sails.
Yeah. Who did your sails in those days?
Well, everybody. We had Peter Cole, we had a Rolly Tasker, we had a couple of hoods. And we actually, on that fresh day, we used a Vim mainsail, and the sail plan was the same. And so it ended up, we loaded 70 bags of sails. 70 bags of sails to take to America. Yeah. So we did a lot of work trying to get some decent sails. Yeah. We ended up using American sails, and that frightened the life out of them, and they put the ban on.
That's when they put the ban on. You had to have the sails made in the country, yeah.
And but they just had a bit of on us in the light, particularly in the windward in returns. So you had a windward return one day and then a reach course the next day. And the next reaching course we lost by just a small amount. So we were pretty good reaching. And just a touch off the pace in the light. And our running spinners were probably too big in hindsight. But we were coming from nowhere, really. I mean, Australian yachting in 1960.
Yeah,
it was galvanised everything. Yeah. We were over there to a sophisticated sailing country, and I think we had to be pretty happy in the end. Yeah.
Oh, look, you'd have to be. It was a great series because everybody was on a knife edge, wasn't it?
Exactly.
Really?
Yeah, it was a national.
There wasn't big winds as far as Weatherly was concerned.
No, and very experienced guys on board with them. And then in the following year, Peter O'Donnell and I from my foredeck mate on the Gretel, we did the transatlantic race with most of the Weatherly crew.
Oh, yeah.
And we
few stories?
But we also held up pretty well with those guys on that boat, I thought that, they weren't supermen or anything. It's just the experience.
Well, they had been doing it for quite a while,
Exactly,
hadn't they?
Exactly.
When you were first up,
they had good boat gear. So, that was them.
Local knowledge.
Well, not so much local knowledge, but knowledge of the big boats in a competitive edge. Yeah. They've lost all that now.
What did you do after that?
After America's Cup, I stayed over there.
Yeah.
Peter O'Donnell and I, the first job after that was a delivery from Boston down to the West Indies, taking a boat down for charter. So we left Boston in the snow, down to Bermuda, and then on to the West Indies. Then did the Southern Circuit in Florida on a Bob Director boat called the Grey Goose. Then back up to Long Island, the transatlantic race. Cowes Week with the American boats, with the Weatherly crew, and then back to Sydney for the Barrenjoey thing. And which that just happened on the spur of the moment. When we got back to Sydney, I heard Bill Northam had a boat being built. I rang him up and said, Peter O'Donnell's still overseas, but how about signing us on? And he said, I don't know what happened to the guys you already had. And he said, yes, and so we launched that thing in November, and the trials were in February. Won the trials, and within a year it was all over.
So how was the Olympic Games?
The Olympics were terrific. We had no idea how we'd go. Then we went out there in the light airs. We were a bit worried about light air. We went out there in the light airs in the first race, and we got a bit of a break tactically. Pod O'Donnell was calling tactics always, and we won the first race in light airs. I think.
Did you know it was a light air boat?
No, it's not a light air boat.
It's not.
No.
No.
It's not a light air boat.
Tactics.
Good tactics got us through that, and second race we might have been 6th or 7th, and we thought, well, maybe that's where we're going to end up. I think it was the third or fourth race was blown like stink, and old Bill hanging onto the handle on the side there, and we won that fourth race in the fresh. And I thought, well, we might get a podium out of this, and I think we won the 6th race, and yeah, just scrambled through in the end. But and you always probably need a little bit of luck here and there. But yeah.
Well, that's that yacht racing, though, isn't it? Really?
Well, exactly. And unless you're way ahead, like Belcher seems to be able to win every race in his 470, but the only way to stop him is take the 470 out of the Olympics, I think.
That's what they're trying to do.
Exactly.
That fixed him. Yeah. Now, what have you been doing since?
I've been a sailor all my life. I've got a North Shore 38, which I use as a cruising boat.
Nice boat.
And I've also been, I did another America's Cup in '74, Bundy's first challenge, the Benny Lexon boat. A few Hobart races, and then a lot of dragon racing with Carl Rives. And I've just sort of pretty much given up competitive racing. I just do occasional handicap race down the squadron, and yeah, enjoying life.
Well, you've been inducted with the #1 pin. That must give you some sort of...
Sorry? Well,
you've been inducted with your #1 pin.
Well, I've got number 28.
28?
20,
oh, sorry,
28.
Yeah.
Jock Stoke was number 20.
Jock, sorry, yeah.
Jock Stoke was number 1.
20,
so
sorry.
Jock was our skipper in 1962, so he was back on the wheel out of the spray, and I was on the foredeck getting drowned. As they plunge a bit, those 12 metres. And but they were good fun boats.
Good, yeah. And I was just up in Newport and saw them racing around, or not racing, but out for a bit of a demonstration during the Volvo stopover.
Oh yeah, were they?
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them out, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're very strong in Newport still.
Oh yeah. Well, they had very heavy scantlings. They were supposedly built to Lloyd's #1, whatever that was, and then they went aluminium, and they carried that weight through, so they'll never fall apart. But they're a beast of a boat with a lot of lead in them, you know. And now it's all changing to boats we hardly recognise.
Well, truly. Well, congratulations.
Okay, well thank you.
No problem.
I feel pretty proud, really.
Good on you, and so you should be too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.